Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the market that is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have Tom Lee's Bitmine immersion announcing almost $3 billion in ETH holdings, making it the largest ETH treasury in the world. We've got Adam Weitsman making a long-term investment in Otherside, purchasing 5,000 other deeds, mega coders and weapon coders directly from Yuga Labs. So we'll be talking a little bit about the NFT ecosystem and that big long-term investment into one of the major NFT ecosystems. And finally, GTE announcing departure from MegaMafia after raising $25 million from tier one investors. We don't have Brett today on the show with us, but we'll chat a little bit about that today. That's breaking news. And maybe when we have him on tomorrow, we will reflect on that too. We've got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs as usual, plus a general discussion on how to approach the next 6 months. People are saying that it's going to be a big 6 months, so we'll be talking about that and our personal strategies. So stay tuned for that. I've got Legendary and Rahim in the co-host seats with me today. We're ready to get into it, but just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. The market is, of course, very, very risky. We do not know anything for sure, so please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it's Tuesday. It's the 5th of August. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
GM Jim doing pretty good. Bringing some people up on stage. And enjoying my day. Because
you did seem to be enjoying the music today. Yeah. And I was saying, I'm sitting here thinking it's the same music. Why are you enjoying it so much today? I'm getting a bit suspicious of you over here.
But there's two positive things going on today. First of which is I had an excellent lesson at the driving range, and my is starting to look pretty decent. And then on a more Web3 related thing, the new heroes are to be voted in for Fantasy Top, and I am in the Rising Stars category, and I am
very nice.
So it looks like if this continues, and I'm very, very happy and grateful for everyone voting to get me in. It looks like I'll be a collectible hero if this trend continues.
Very cool. For the people who are unfamiliar, Fantasy Top is like a collectible trading card game for your favorite KOLs, influencers, thought leaders on the timeline. And Legendary's been crushing it on the timeline recently, to be honest. So well overdue for Legendary to be part of that game where you can kind of bet on his performance in terms of his metrics on the timeline. So that'll be awesome. Would you change your tweeting style? Are you going to play up to the competitions, or are you just going to do what you do normally?
No, I have to do the Brett thing where you like keep the bangers for competition time. We
no tweeting anymore in non-competition time.
Exactly. Yeah. Also love what Dari got in the YouTube comments or in the X comments asking, why does Whale's name say Legendary? Did you catch what was going on yesterday?
I saw something about it, yeah.
That was so hilarious. Let me get it up on screen. So I posted the Modern Market clip where I talked about the rate cuts on the show yesterday, and someone asked if that's me in the clip, and I was like, no, that's Whale. And Whale posted a different picture of me, which he had saved on his phone. I just quote reposted and said, can't believe Whale's swoosh just stocks looking good. Which got like 30K views and a bunch of people believing that's actually him, which is quite hilarious to troll the timeline like that. And I undoxed by that. I am now undoxed because this is Whale, so nobody knows.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's actually funny how few people pay attention to who is who. Like, there's a lot of people who might not know our faces because they're only in the Twitter space or something. It's pretty funny to kind of track that. Rahim, how are things your side, my man? Things are warming up in Dubai. Things are warming up on the art style side. President moves being made over there. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been a very crazy couple of weeks. So yeah, we finally found the physical space, the perfect physical space for the clubhouse. I just think like it's something that's so much needed in our space. I think everyone who does like a physical space is either done in like a very frat boy energy, or it's kind of done in like a very corporate tone of things. So kind of want to take it very much on the culture side, a lot on the lifestyle side. I just think like, I think like you guys are like such a great example of it. Like Ledge plays like a lot of golf. You like playing golf. I just feel like I feel like there's so much more to us as human beings rather than just being crypto nerds. And I just think
Yes.
that's something I definitely want to expand on. So exciting times, but I must say I'm a part-time real estate agent now. I have an insane amount of knowledge on like commercial real estate. So I guess I should be getting into RWAs at this point.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I've said this before to other people obviously you're in the show with us a lot, but other people who kind of pop in the show who we've kind of grown with over the last few years. Like, it's just great to see that people are like developing over time. Now you're a commercial real estate expert as well as a culture coin expert. Like, we're just adding strings to our bow over time. And like, it's just, it's very, very fun. Very, very fun and fulfilling to see. So we'll obviously keep tabs on what you're up to there. Looking forward to hear more very, very soon. But as usual, let's get to the main headlines and price action to get you up to speed with what is going on in the market over the last 24 hours. I have to say, being off the show for like 24 hours makes me feel awful. Even if I do all the research, not being able to talk about it with you all is pretty terrible. So here we go. Bitcoin is flat at 114K. ETH is up 3% to 3.6, almost 3.7. XRP is up 3% also to $3.10. BNB is flat at $763. Solana is up 5% to 170. Hyperliquid is up 4% to 39. So Hyperliquid's really underperformed in the last month or so. That's down 13% on the week, whereas Bitcoin's down 3, ETH is down 5, XRP is down 2. You can't beat XRP right now, guys. I don't know what that means for where we are in the cycle. Sui is up a couple of percent as well, back to $3.50, but also down 10% on the week. So those alt majors, I think, definitely performing worse now that since ETH started taking over. So that's something to note. Getting into the meme coin side of things in general, mostly a green day actually. Doge is up 3%, Pepe is up 1%, Pengu's flat, Bonk is down a couple of percent, SPX is up 3, Fartcoin is up 7, Rect is up 6. Actually, I think Rect has just gone past 500. Oh, it's up to 510 FTB. Been a little bit volatile the last few days, right? Ledge, I was just asking you off air, how did you feel the weekend played out? It felt like things really yo-yoed around Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. People really didn't know. People lost a bit of faith, or maybe it was a bit of over leverage in the system potentially. What do you make of the volatility recently?
Yeah, the liquidations weren't too big, I would argue, in the weekend, and
Okay.
sentiment was a bit weird because you also saw pre-markets being down over the weekend, albeit with low volume, that is, for stocks over the weekend. But nonetheless, we did have a very green open on Monday, so everything just went higher again. I did play around with some leveraged ETH trades, but it all got worse once I closed my short and then tried to long short. So I stopped doing that. So I burned all the profit that I made in the trade before. Sentiment was a bit tense on the timeline. I do agree with that. But there were like voices like D Pharma and Bo saying, "Sure, this is exactly the top." When everyone is panicking and screaming, "It's the top on the timeline." Both of them being sarcastic, obviously, about this take. So, but then everything went back to normal essentially, with the exception that you mentioned. Hyperliquid is definitely lagging / underperforming now that so much attention is going into ETH, and it's for the moment struggling to reclaim that $40 mark.
So what I'm wondering here, just a quick follow-up on Hyperliquid, and Rahim, want to bring you in on this as well, and then ask you actually about the meme side of things, because I know you were super early to catch these huge moves up. You know, when I think of myself as a trader, I try to take things from undervalued to fair value. I don't necessarily need to be there for all of the speculative fervor after. I find it's always better to take something to undervalued to fair value. And I'm just wondering at this point, like, do I think Hyperliquid is excellent? Yes. Do we all use it all the time? Yes. Do I think it goes higher? Yes. But I do think when you're talking about the fastest horse, or like what is moving relative to other things, the big move has already happened, right? Like you kind of missed the humongous, sizable, violent move up on Hyperliquid. Could it do that again if the rest of the market also does that again? Absolutely. Do I think it does it independently of everything again? That is the thing I'm not so sure of anymore. So one of the things I'm kind of thinking out loud here, It's kind of actually the same with my alts. And I told you this, Legendary, the other day in private, just like slowly selling over a period of time and maybe funneling some of those profits into Bitcoin / dollars over a bit of time. So nothing like a drastic move, but that's some thought. Coming to you first on the Hyperliquid question, Legendary, do you think that's a fair take from me? How are you looking at it? Then I want to hear from Rahim.
I do think there still could be some other adoption and mind share factors coming in, HIP3, etc., that would drive attention back to
seriously good stuff. Seriously good stuff. Yeah.
I don't think, but I definitely think obviously it has a way easier time to reclaim $40 and above if the rest of the market is running. But on the flip side of that, we've seen it now that ETH has been running. It has gone up, but obviously not to the same extent. So maybe like a sideways market, a more stable ETH price with some bullish Hyperliquid news specifically would be the better setup for the token to run more.
Yeah. That's my thought. Rahim, be curious for your thoughts. And as we said, Hyperliquid's numbers are outstanding. They keep growing. Open interest keeps going up. Keeps hearing about further developments with HIP3 and all the other integrations. Other people using builder codes like Phantom, printing loads and loads of money by integrating to Hyperliquid. So it's all good stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're like spot on. I remember making this tweet. I think it was first week of July, where I was like, I feel like Hyperliquid feels too much of a consensus trade, and I think that kind of worries me. And I took 30% off the table from my entire holdings, and I think it was at 42, 41 then. And I remember people in the comment section, but they were like going crazy, and they were like, "No, it's this." And I do think, going back to what like Ledge is saying, I do think they have like a lot of cool things in the arsenal, with the biggest being like we don't really have an oversight on the billions of dollars they have for the community fund, of whether they want to drop it to the core people, to the liquid people. And I think whenever they have that announcement or that speculation rises in the air, I think things could change. But I just think, where there's that moment where you see there. I don't mean this in like a mean way, but there are like certain creators that completely focus on, they turn their brand into like one particular product or one particular chain every few months and stuff. When that starts to happen for a particular chain, that's when it's become consensus. People who are not into DeFi have started educating, not taking positions, but educating people about DeFi. And I just think that to me is like, okay, you have a consensus trade. Yes, everyone, like you said, it had the big run up. Now everyone has an idea of how the assistant fund works. So I think a lot of that got priced in. Now, in order for the price to move, you need an insane amount of buy pressure, which is just like not coming. So if the assistant fund is already priced in, what are the metrics we're looking at for new people to come in? Because I think everyone has gotten into Hyperliquid who was interested in it. Right now, everyone's focusing on the institutional stuff, which is why you have XRP doing billions in volume. So it's just like, like at the end of the day, just like follow the numbers. I think the nuance of like realizing that, okay, there's this narrative of like, you need to believe in something, you need to hold, but also at some point realizing that you need to stop getting married to your bags is it's a very hard nuance, because like where do you draw the line? But I think for me that it just comes down to that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of that. I mean, maybe one point I would make is I still think, I hold a ton of hype still. And I am staking a ton of it with Kinetic, because I think that is a good spot to park some of the proportion that you don't want to do anything with. I do think the best potential airdrops will be on Hyperliquid for the foreseeable future. So if you do have hype, or if frankly, if it's other tokens as well, like if you've got dollars or if you've got Bitcoin, borrowing against Bitcoin on one of the Hyperliquid platforms, I think has a better chance of getting rewarded in future than if you did that elsewhere. So I still think the opportunity is great, but I wouldn't say hype is over-owned. I just feel like it's appropriately owned. It's appropriately owned where it is now, which means like the violent move is behind us. And now, it's a fantastic thing, but to hold, and I'm still going to hold a ton of it. But I'm thinking, just play around with a certain proportion of it and take some off potentially.
What's the implication for your expectations when it comes to airdrops, whether it's potential second Hyperliquid airdrop, unit assets, or Project X, all those, or Kinetic even. Does that change your airdrop thinking or playbook, or is it now it's still a good opportunity and everything is staying the same?
I think it's a great opportunity still. And I think the cool thing about it, and I don't know if people know this fully, but like you don't need hype necessarily to participate in all of the potential on Hyperliquid. Like, sure, if you want to stake with Kinetic, you need hype. And I'm doing that a ton. So I think that would be good. It's like the LST for Hyperliquid in the same way that ETH had Lido, but it's way more than that. If you read their most recent article on, I think it was the launch pads, right? They're building something much bigger than just an LST. Then you can also do just a bunch of things with dollars. Like you can lend on Hyperlend or Felix right now and get 10 to 15% on your dollars. Like these are excellent opportunities for you to just get points on a Hyperliquid protocol and earn yield, which is probably market leading yield. We really like Liminal as well, for example, where you can kind of capture the funding rate on assets from Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, Fartcoin, Pump, and that returns something well, and that's just on dollars as well. So you've got things like Liminal, Felix, Unit, which you're always going to be doing in the background if you're doing those unit spot assets. So I think it's still an excellent opportunity, but you don't actually need hype necessarily to participate in all of those. Ledge, any follow-up or concluding thoughts from you?
No, very much agree with that. Also, my playbook isn't changing. Maybe the only thing that I adapted is certain proportions to take some money out of Liminal, added more to LPs on Project X. With a heavy focus.
I like Project X.
With a heavy focus on my Kinetic hype, regular hype pool there. And just to answer Overarch's question in the YouTube comments, what's the app where you can borrow against BTC on Hype EVM? That is Use Felix.
Use Felix. Overarch, and actually for everyone who is listening, this is why when we've built our community Telegram, we have a section called Best Protocols. Ledge, I don't know if there's a way to share what the chat is looking like in there. So it's going great. Apologies if you've still not got your invite. We're still working through all the invites. We've got like 70 something people in there now. We're still going through the invites, going through slowly because we don't want Twitter to ban us as we keep spamming all these people who've requested access with links. So we're just working through it slowly. We will get to you if you haven't got it yet. Is there a way to show like without sharing all of your private conversations, Ledge?
No, because we can't screenshot it, and otherwise I would have to share my entire Telegram, and that's all my DMs, which I
okay. Anyway, okay. So the point is, Overarch and anyone else listening, we have the link to Felix in the community Telegram in a section called Best Protocols. The idea for that section is that if you want to do something in crypto, there will be all of the things that you need there. If you want to bridge, if you want to swap, if you want to lend, if you want to borrow, like those are the things that we like the most, because either they're super useful or they're the things we think will be best incentivized moving forward in the future to afford you some opportunity, maybe via airdrop or otherwise. So that's how we've designed it. And head over to that section, and that's where you'll find it. So we kind of got sidetracked there. We were talking price action, we were talking other things. I hope that conversation was helpful either way. Getting into the headlines themselves, we have Tom Lee's Bitmine immersion announcing almost $3 billion in ETH holdings, making it the largest ETH treasury in the world. We've got Adam Weitsman making a long-term investment in Otherside, which is by Yuga Labs, purchasing 5,000 other deeds, which are like the land NFTs in the metaverse that they're building. And then finally, GTE, what was certainly considered one of the premier apps coming out of the MegaMafia builder cohort for Mega ETH. After raising 25 million from tier 1 investors, they've announced that they're departing from MegaMafia, which is the kind of accelerator. So we'll touch on that a little bit later as well as we discuss the headline specifically. Some notable price action. Pump is back up 10% to $3.1 billion. They have released these transparency dashboards, which started to show that they actually used 102% of their revenue over the last 6 days to buy back the token. Not sure that's a long-term sustainable strategy. Spend all your money buying back the token, but that's where we are. Zoro is also up 13% to 690 mil, and Troll is up 40% to 108 mil. This is a popular meme that people have been pushing for a long time. I remember buying it at like 18 million. I got impatient and got rid of it. Up 5x from there, and feels like it might go higher from here, to be honest. Ledge, that's the price action. Anything we need to know on the NFT side?
Yes, give me 1 second to bring that up on screen as well. There we go. Obviously, other deeds as a result of what is the second main headline are up 11% on the week, 22% over the last 7 days. Apart from that, we have a pretty exciting day, I would argue. Pudgy Penguins are flat, Bored Apes up 0.5%, Relate is up 0.8%, Moonbirds, yeah, they're down 5%, but it's still a 2.36 ETH4. Azuki is up 2.6%, so nothing too impressive on that end. One of the major sales is a Skull of Lucy with Sam Spratt, $400,000 or $409,000 for that one. Also puts the floor above 400K now, which is Stats called in one of his posts today. Most exclusive club you can be in crypto right now, just given the floor price.
It is. The Skull of Lucy is pretty exclusive for sure. The masks, obviously, is the one that I sold the other day. I think that floor's moved up to around 25,000, not ETH, 25,000. So I think, yeah, these things. Sam Spratt is very highly coveted, very well respected, excellent art, excellent story, excellent storyteller. Just an additional point, there's been a lot of Jack Butcher sales as well recently. This single check sold for 27.5 ETH, and I saw one of the physicals, which you had the physical checks, which was done in conjunction with Christie's, I believe. The digital with the physical sold for 5 ETH. Those sold for around a few $1,000s back in the day. So big wins in the Jack Butcher ecosystem too. Getting into the rest of the roundup, CFTC announces they'll launch an initiative for trading spot crypto asset contracts that are listed on CFTC registered futures exchanges. Peter Thiel backed Bullish seeks up to 4.2 billion valuation in US IPO. I'm not so focused on this one. I'm more interested in the Kraken one that's coming, which I feel like is much bigger. Bullish, I don't know. I've never heard anyone talk about it or use it. So I guess it gets a lot of traction because of Peter Thiel's name, but I'm got my eyes on the Kraken one a little bit more. Verb Technology Company announces $558 million private placement to establish first publicly listed TON treasury company. So the treasury companies are coming for Telegram tokens as well now. Phantom announces acquisition of Soul Sniper, one of the fastest, most advanced trading platforms on Solana. I think that's excellent for Phantom. As I said, Pump Funds started to release their revenue dashboard showing what kind of buybacks they're doing. And then finally, Sub-Zero Labs raised $20 million led by Pantera to build Realo, the first real-world blockchain network. That's that. Before we get into the main headlines to discuss, coming to you, Rahim, now first. Anything catching your attention here before we get into ETH treasury companies, Adam Weitsman, GTE, before we get there, and what's kind of on your mind at the moment?
Yeah, I wanted to add one bit that I feel like because Blur doesn't show ERC, the other one, whatever that standard is, the 1155s, the 6529 memes have been doing really well, which I'm super happy. Like you picked a few, I believe the other day. I just think a lot of people sleep on that ecosystem because you have a lot of collections by artists that are not even like that known that have done a great appreciation in price in the last like couple of days. I also think it's one of the coolest projects. I just think like there's no other art project in our space that has kind of like used the value of valuable artists to uplift a lot of the younger artists. Like I have pieces
you're gonna just have to just give people like this is one of those collections that you have to really know about it to know about it. So just give like a 30-second like explanation of what we're looking at here on the screen, because we are showing it on screen.
Perfect. So the memes by 6529 is essentially a concept of going on the broader scale of what means in like crypto, which is like culture, decentralization, freedom to transact. Everything is open. Everything is like CC0. So going on like the ethos on Web3, it's obviously done by 6529, who is famously known for his hoodie punk and a big collector in this space. So essentially what they do is they have like multiple seasons, and they get like different artists to do a collaborative drop with them. And whenever you have like full sets, you get access to like some of the rarer drops, and you have like pretty notable artists in this entire ecosystem. From, you know, even like Ovi's art is there. There's like a couple of like really well-known artists in this entire ecosystem. So yeah, like it's kind of like nice.
I'd go so far as to say like every well-known artist is in there at some point,
Yeah.
almost.
And what the cool thing is they've done is like, so they use the provenance and value of like these like old OG artists to like uplift new artists, which is I think like such a nice thing to do. So there were like pieces I bought just to like support my friends that are up like 5-6x from like the price that I bought them at. So I think 6529 memes is like always something to look at. It's also, people are obsessed with collecting a full set over there, so keep an eye on that. These are like your diehard like art collectors. So plus the fact that it's not on Blur, it doesn't have like, you know, that blur of like, you know, your loans and this and that. It has like better price action, so keep an eye on that for sure.
For sure. Like the one thing I would say about it, I was in the memes a long time ago. I was in it as they were happening. Like the Nakamoto card that I think went up to 10 ETH, I think I had and sold for 1 by mistake. But I was in that and participated in the whole bubble. I do think, as you said, it has an underlying message which resonates with a lot of people. It's focusing on decentralization, self-sovereignty, open and permissionless Web3 ecosystem. And by focusing on those things, it's curated a group of collectors and participants who, you know, people make fun of it, but they say like believe in something. They believe in it. And so that's why they buy and they hold and they keep buying over and over and over again, because they want to be a part of the movement. So yeah, that's definitely one to keep an eye on, especially if you care about those particular things, and, you know, potentially some long-term collector, like true collector value, which might not be like the speculative type as people have experienced before. But good shout out there. Ledge, what about you? Anything kind of catching your attention either from the roundup or elsewhere?
One sentence to the memes. It was ultimately D-Farmer getting me excited about the memes, and there's so much history to explore, and it's like just so enjoyable to scroll through that collection, see so many well-known names, and see all the different memes that have been put together. I remember when you got into memes as they were happening, as they were starting out, but back then for me it was just a couple of them. I was like, man, where is this going? Then came a point where I was thinking there's way too many of them, and now obviously there's way more. I'm like, oh, I'm starting to see the entire picture, and it's a beautiful picture to look at.
I think that's actually a really nice analogy of like how people, like literally the arc of any collection or product or brand or something. It's like hyper excitement at the beginning, then people start doubting, like, wait, hang on a second, like, what are you guys doing? Am I sure about you? And then you see the body of work continue. They keep delivering over time. They keep doing quality stuff. They're super reliable. They're staying true to their message. And then you're like, okay, I have the confidence again to come back in. So it's a nice analogy for how to observe people's trajectories, I think, in some ways.
Of my one of my favorite minting memories is I had 2 of my friends, the 3 of us, we had like a full set at one point, and we were meeting very often, and we would be out for dinner, and our phones would have an alarm.
The minting wars.
Dude, it was so much fun. We'd be sitting on like a dinner, and like all of our phones would ring at the exact same time for alarm, and we would just like look at each other, and we would know why our phones have rung. It's just like such a great memory of mine. I absolutely love it.
It's so illegal that they took gas wars away from us, man. Like all of this sanitized, PG, family friendly, whitelist stuff. Like, get rid of it.
Dude, you should see in the Pokemon world. So there was like a recent drop of cards that was done. Apparently, in order for you to get access to this, you had to have a Japanese phone number to enter into the raffle to get a whitelist. So they were like, okay, you could be in the US, but the way to enter the raffle is you have to send a text message through your Japanese number. Then you go through the raffle. Then if you win, you buy. And I was like, this is so amazing. Can we bring back like these like complicated whitelists?
Either complicated like niche whitelists or first come, first serve, go for it. People setting alarms around the world at like completely random times to really gun for these assets. That was a real throwback to a past a time gone by, which I don't know if it will return. But one of the things that's been on my mind is this question, Ledge. We're going to get to the headlines in a second, but I think that, we spoke a little bit at the top of the show, a bit of chop over the weekend, a bit of negative sentiment, a bit of uncertainty, all I think which was started at the FOMC meeting with Powell last week, where they were incredibly reluctant to commit to rate cuts in September. They did not want to do that. Market really responded to that in a negative way, although I'm pretty sure anyone with a cool head and reading the situation knows like it is coming at some point. It might not be, well, I think very people are pretty confident it will be in September, but even if it isn't in September, guys, which is only 1 month, like it's coming at some point. So I think there was a bit of chop around there, a bit of discontent, but broadly, there's still this suggestion that the next period of time, we know we're not at the beginning of the cycle, right? Everyone knows that. Bitcoin is not at 16K anymore. It's at 118. All kinds of memes have run already back to all-time highs. So we're definitely not at the beginning. We've got all of these treasury companies doing some good stuff and some questionable stuff. That's certainly not early stage behavior. But there is a thought that, look, the next 6 months will be a big opportunity. So there's this tweet from Bob Lucas, who's a very prominent trader, saying over the next 6 months, you'll be given the chance to lock in a new financial level permanently. Don't fumble reaching for more. Secure the level, then expand. Ledge, I want to come to you first, and then Rahim, I want to come to you. This is like game time. Game time strategy. People always want to watch this show. They always want to ask questions about what to buy. What do you buy? What do you buy? What do you buy? No one ever asks anyone ever when to sell or how to sell or like what the strategy is for exiting your positions and securing the thing. Everyone always wants to know the first part. No one focuses on the last part. So Ledge, first, what do you think about this idea of the next 6 months being this kind of incredible opportunity? And then how are you thinking about that from a personal perspective?
I mean, at first I thought it's a pretty bullish post, but it's kind of vague in the way it's worded. Like secure the level, then expand. You could be like, oh, I told you to lock in profits, or I told you we're gonna go higher at some point. It is a bit vague, and it's not only me. There's some people in the comments, like Johnny Utah asking, walk me through what it means to lock in a new level. Is it take profits, move off the risk curve, hodl BTC, property? What is going on here? But generally, let's assume that bullish notion, that bullish underlying notion. I think still that we have this end of year Q4 season to look at. But I also think that it's not, for my personal portfolio, it's not a bad price level to start locking in some profits as you've been doing. Like I still have, I loved making fun of ETH at, what was it, 1.1, 1.72K, whatever it was. But reality of the fact is that I've been holding ETH for, what is it, since 2016? Yeah,
I was going to say like 20 years. 20 years. ETH
holding this damn asset since it was at $11. So I'm up a ton on my first purchase of ETH. I'm up on my general ETH portfolio. So it's a good time to lock in some profits on that. I've been doing that. I actually started using, I told you about that Cerebro, this portfolio tracking app. I got really, really good over the last couple of months. And I can give you the breakdown that in terms of stables, I'm 20% in euro, another 20% in dollar-based stable coins, so 40% on that, and 45% on that actually, because USDC is also significant. And then there's 25% in BTC, 25% roughly in ETH, and the rest is the rest. So it's already a like stable-ish portfolio. And what Cerebro does, I'm not going to share this on screen because I don't want to share all my wallets, obviously. They have this like risk that you take in your portfolio, which goes from level 0 to 2, which is minimal, all the way up to level 10, which is maximum, guess where my portfolio is on a scale like from 0 to 10 now that you heard that constitution, where the tool would rate it?
5.
It's at a 1.7. And I feel like,
Oh, really?
yeah, is it just because I have like majors and stables? I'm not high on the risk curve, and I'm thinking, should I expand on that?
I
Am I
mean,
not?
it's certainly not high when you've got that many stables, I think.
Don't you have like six figures in bad buns?
Yeah, I have 61 bank. Now it's 2% of supply. Why do you give me a 1.7 in terms of risk preference?
Dude's buying a bad buns every single day. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Cerebro recognizes no risk in bunny NFTs, like absolutely zero.
Maybe that's your benchmark to go and keep buying. You're like, it can't be 1. I need to bump this number up.
There we go. That's the full explanation.
Key takeaway is I did lock in some profits. I'm still
Yes.
happy in my spot bags. I still have some, obviously, like the bad ones, some more degenerate bets going on, and I'm quite happy to continue with locking in profits over the next months, but still keeping a good risk on exposure.
And are you thinking about doing that routinely? Like, what's your strategy for it? Like, just talk people through how you think about it. Is it like, okay, every Friday I'm going to take risk before people lose their mind on the weekends? Is it just, whenever you think you reach a high on one asset, like, oh, okay, I'm going to take some off? How do you think about it?
I mostly do it after big moves. Like when ETH has a great day, I'm like, oh, let's book some ETH profits. Or if I had a great trade, something that I did that played out very well, I'm like happy to think about, how much percent of that do I want to lock in BTC or in stable coins? Is that
and you're still going into Bitcoin and stables? Is that what you're doing with with your winnings?
Yeah. I'm not like very systematic. It's like very vibe DCAing. It's not like every Friday at 4 p.m. 3.5% of my whatever will move into this and that. It's like very, very vibey.
Okay, fair enough. Rahim, very curious for your thoughts as well. I know you were hyper early to the memes moving up, huge positions, probably in Pengu and maybe a couple of others. How are you thinking about the next few months, like Q3, Q4? What's your strategy to, obviously exit some, if not all, of the positions? How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I think I'm actually of the notion that I think the next 6 months are going to be crazy. I know there's this take and this view on the timeline where a lot of the risk stuff is gone. People won't get into memes. That cycle won't come back like in the same way, and maybe it'll not come at like the same degree. But if you just like zoom out and look at like the world right now, yesterday I was watching a video where apparently there are these like blind stationery packets being sold for school children, where this person bought it for like $3 and you get like a massive pack which has 50 different other small packets which has, I don't know, like an eraser, a pencil, a lotion, or whatever. So I was like, this is essentially gambling for like 6-year-olds, because like now you're getting like stationery items in it. And like I was speaking to a friend of mine, and apparently like blind boxes are going super big.
Wait, people are gambling for pencils?
Like it's basically just to incentivize children to be like, oh, I want to get this like massive pack, but you don't know what's inside it, and there are like 50 things inside, so you don't know what the hell you're actually buying. So I just think, when you look at that, I was speaking to a friend of mine who works in the beauty industry, and she was just talking like this concept of blind subscription boxes in the beauty industry are like blowing up, where people pay $50 a month and they have no idea what they're going to get. So I'm just like, you look at the world and it's like so over leveraged on every single thing when it comes to the risk curve, that I just like refuse to believe that everyone's just like, oh, you know what, like the meme cycle is done, it's only the institution, we need to be conservative. I completely agree with you. On the weekend, people were like drawing those charts to like, like 95K, 88K, 85K. And it feels crazy because I feel like the moment institutional buys stop on the weekend, suddenly like, you have these chartists. For some reason, they've completely forgotten the fact that there is no institutional money coming on the weekend. And I've seen this a lot. I think in the last 3 weeks, we'd have like a massive dump on the weekend. And suddenly like Monday, we see like markets pumping again and stuff. So yeah, I'm just like, you know what, like I feel like people are like really off on like how to place their bets. But I'm sure like there's a big gambling season coming. You obviously see gambling platforms absolutely rooting. Ledge is absolutely killing it on ETH. And yeah, like a lot of these ecosystems are just going to blow up, like these launch pads and stuff. I think we're going to have one more crazy euphoric rally of some sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of very open to that. My response to it, though, because I keep going back to this November, December, January period where we had that blow off top around Trump's thing and the Trump coin launch, plus all the AI stuff that had just been happening before. In those moments of euphoria, it's so difficult to catch the top, and which is why my strategy, I think, over a longer period of time, also as we get like more involved in the business side of things and we're busy doing other things too, like just taking chips off routinely was the best thing we did in November, December, January, when AI agents could go to be super, super volatile. You can't catch the volatile move always and time the top, because the problem is low liquidity coins which don't have a lot of liquidity. And of course, when it goes to the top, everyone wants to get out at that point. So, and you can't all get out at the same time. So taking chips off like responsibly, personally, that's how I'm going to do it. But I do think the next few months, I'm actually not as confident to say six. I've been saying on the show before, like I like to think in terms of like three is the optimum number for me to feel comfortable. I'm good with three. Like I'm good to think we move higher in three, and taking some chips off the table at, I don't know, different periods of time in that period is how I'd want to play it.
Every day I wake up and I hope the price action hits 4K so I can come on the show and be like, hey B, this was your price prediction for ETH for end of year, and we are here in like week 2 or week 3.
Well, let's let it happen first. Let's let it happen. It's getting rejected a couple of times.
Imagine ETH hits like 4K on a Wednesday, and then you're like looking forward to the next Tuesday until the market crashes. Will you make an exception and join us on another day, or what's the plan?
I will barge in. I will barge in something. I'll figure something out, but I just can't wait to be back.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely ready for it. Would love for ETH to go through 4, because it's going to send everything else as well, ideally. Look, we've kind of gone into different discussions here. I'm going to answer 2 more questions in the comments. Actually, I'll ask them to the people they're relevant for, and then we'll hit the headlines in like a shorter, quicker way today. Notorious Big Bull on YouTube asked, Legend, please spare a minute on where you're borrowing against Bitcoin and earning yield on wrapped Bitcoin. I believe we have some links in the Telegram, Ledge, but do you want to direct Notorious Big Bull here?
Yeah, that is for me. Hyper EVM is the place. I am doing this on Use Felix. I think it's usefelix.xyz. Let me double check before I give a wrong website for that. Yes, it's usefelix.xyz. And I borrow stables, but I borrow USDT against that, but I do it in a very, very conservative way. So I never push beyond 35% in LTV. Could obviously go way higher, but it's just something I don't want to have to worry about if we have 25% price swings. This is why I'm rather conservative with that.
For sure. And one point on that, that is a link you can access via the Telegram chat. Please access it via there. And 2, there's this incredible scenario at the moment where you can borrow against your Bitcoin, get dollars, and you will be given an interest rate, which is a variable interest rate, but you can put those dollars straight back into Felix and earn more. So like there's like now where you can kind of farm it for free because you're borrowing and then putting it back in and earning on your borrowing and lending. But yeah, do it in a responsible proportion. I don't know if I necessarily borrow anything more than 20 to 30% against Bitcoin when they probably allow you to go as high as 60 or 70. So I think you want to be cautious there. And then second question, maybe Rahim, you can take this one. Oxy in the comments asking, also curious where you guys think there are opportunities outside of simply spot exposure. Is it a virtual like play or capitalizing on DeFi airdrops and TGE opportunities? What do you think, Rahim?
Yeah, there are like a couple of ecosystems I'm looking at. I think like I've been on Zora for a while, so I think that's been like super interesting to me. I like to like look at certain things. So Zora essentially has their investor unlock in October, and I was like, it's interesting that like it started like doing really well all of a sudden, like in the last couple of months, like so I
so
like to
interesting
somehow
that so interesting how the price goes up just before they get to sell.
And I think this is something to kind of, I think a lot of people don't look into it. Like, if there are projects that have raised an insane amount of money, kind of look where their investor unlocks are happening, and kind of like, maybe sometimes you can place your bets there in some way or the other. I think that ecosystem is very interesting to me. I still think a lot of people are sleeping on the whole abstract ecosystem. I just think, like, I've been watching like some of like Luca's podcasts recently. I've never seen him be so aggressive about like what he's building, and I just think seeing that, like, the passion and like the focus they have. Saigar announced that this quarter they'll be focusing a lot on DeFi, on abstract, which is something they haven't driven into. I know, Ledge, I believe you were also asking on the timeline the other day. So I do think there will be like some of these like random ecosystems that come around. There's some stuff I'm looking at on Sui. I think Sui has been an interesting ecosystem. But yeah, I guess there's always like opportunities in different pockets. Me and Confusion have been like degenerating in these TikTok memes. All again, they've been like doing really well. So that's been fun, I guess.
Nice. You're definitely very, very good on the culture side and taking advantage of that stuff. I think Zora is actually a great shout with that extra detail that you just shared. I've not been thinking about it a lot. I'm not a super fan of like the creator coin concept, but sometimes you've got to park the thinking
Dude,
to one.
the funniest thing about Zora, I tweeted this yesterday. The top 3 coins are such arbitrary coins. It's like the first is like an adult company, second is Jack Butcher, and third is like Balaji. And I was like, when would you ever have these 3 people on the leaderboard? It's just like hilarious to me of how different verticals that are on it. So it's definitely very fascinating.
I like it. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Final question before we hit the quick headlines today. English asked, do you guys, B and Ledge, coordinate haircuts? No, we do not coordinate haircuts, though we do, for whatever reason, end up doing the exact same thing in almost every aspect of life, just routinely, without any communication prior. We will wear the same clothes, we'll get the same haircut, we'll wear the same color shoot. Like, no coordination is required. Every day in Dubai when we were there together, we ended up wearing the same thing without talking to each other. I don't know what kind of sorcery is taking place. Maybe that's what happens when you do the show with someone every single day for a long time. So moving on to the final couple of takes for today. We're gonna have to do some like speed takes here, because we've had, I think, an important discussion about the market, our views for the next 3 to 6 months. I think that is helpful, but we do just want to just get people up to speed with Tom Lee and Bitmine. They've become the biggest treasury, the biggest ETH treasury company. We want to touch on Adam Weissman's huge buys on Otherside, so we'll get that, and then GTE leaving MegaMafia. So Ledge, maybe a quick take from you here. I know you spoke about it a lot yesterday already, so no significant details required maybe, but Tom Lee, Bitmine, what do we need to know?
Yes, absolutely. Bitmine now owns 833,000 ETH. When they did post that press release, ETH was trading at 3.5K, so it was close to 3 billion. The updated figure now with ETH obviously moving up a bit is, if we go to strategic ETH reserve.xyz, that they own $3.05 billion worth of ETH. That is by far the largest treasury company for ETH. Second place goes to SharpLink with 1.6B. Ether Machine at 1.2B. Now, so basically those two companies together own less than Bitmine. I think interesting to point out is that Bitmine's goal still is to own 5% of the ETH supply. And that's a long way to go for them if they really will follow through with that, because they currently, quote unquote, just own 0.69% of the ETH supply. So there is room for pretty much a 7x from here in terms of how much ETH they would need to own. So that's more than 20 billion at current prices. If we put all the ETH treasury companies together, they own 2.45% of the supply. And in the ETH ETFs, there's 4.73% of the supply. So if they continue those treasury companies at the same velocity, they will they will out-own the ETH in ETFs pretty quickly.
Okay, genuine question, and we'll only do one follow-up question here, Ledge, is if you want to front run or participate, if you are long ETH, which I think a lot of people are, Rahim's long ETH, maybe because of treasury companies, maybe for other reasons as well. Do you go like for ETH itself, the asset, or do you buy the treasury company's shares? Because SBET has been down like a lot. Bitmine, I can't remember 100% how it's performing. Maybe you can pull it up in a second. But if people want exposure to, okay, all these treasury companies are going to buy all the ETH, we want to make that play. But it seems like buying the treasury companies at the moment, the stock itself is not a winning play, whereas ETH, the asset, is actually doing okay. Any viewpoint there, Ledge?
Yeah, it's a very, very volatile game to play. So if we just pull up Bitmine, Bitmine is down 2% over the last day. It's up 2.5% in the pre-market. And now you would think that this is the best performer given this massive announcement. However, Sharpling is up 12% over the last day. And adding to that, both companies are down like 10-ish% over the last 5 days, but still up 50% in Sharpling's case over the last month. And Bitmine paints a completely different picture, being down 76% over the last month. It's a pretty big gamble. I still have a Sharpling position, which is quite deep in the red. I'm just not willing to lock in the losses, which is a very degenerate thing to say. It's definitely not trading advice or not any sort of advice. So I think the way more comfortable thing to do is to hold ETH. If that's not volatile enough, add 2x, 3x leverage to that. You can obviously do that on Hyperliquid. I still think those treasury companies could potentially do something. So I'm not willing to sell here. Just no point in locking in the losses for me now. But the amount of ETH, or the amount of money that I hold in treasury companies versus the amount of money that I hold in spot ETH, is a very, very small one. I have significantly larger spot bags than treasury company bags.
Fair enough. I like the take. I like that thought process. I hope that's helpful. Rahim, second headline is Adam Weitsman making this humongous investment into Otherside, mega coders, weapon coders on the Yuga Labs. I know you're big into being a loyal Bored Ape holder for a long time. What do we need to know here about this pretty sizable investment?
Yes, so just to give like a quick TLDR on who Adam Weitsman is, his like background is actually in the steel industry. So he comes from like massive Web2 background. He is, in general, he just has like this larger than life view on things, which is why he's like massive on philanthropy. He got into apes like not that long ago, but he acquired the 5 mega mutants from Applied Primate when they went down under, I believe, in a year and a half ago. He's obviously been collecting a lot of the Bored Ape grilled, and then as you mentioned in your snapshot, he acquired about 5,000 Otherside lands, which includes some mega deeds, some with like rare artifacts. The deal was actually kind of facilitated by Ellie Scheinman. I hope I'm saying the person's name right, who's an advisor for Art Basel, big art person in our space. And Adam is like super bullish on what like the Otherside has been doing. And to his merit, I'll be honest, I think like lately I've been diving a lot on the Otherside as well. It's been actually super fun. Like their Bathroom Blitz is like a fun shooter game that you can play even if you are not a Bored Ape holder. They yesterday had this the Squid Game red light green light game. A bunch of community members came and convinced like 100 people to show up, and everyone was standing in the line. And it's just like crazy to me that you've convinced people on the internet to be like disciplined and be like, hey guys, we all have to stand in the line. So he's just like super bullish on it. He's like, I believe a lot in like storytelling, and I'm a lot into like fantasy worlds and everything. And so the deal that he's made is apparently that he's going to hold those 5,000 lands for an announced period of time, but where he's not allowed to sell. And he's like, the reason I went ahead and did that is I do believe on a broader scale that you need this space to have a beacon of hope. And that's the line that he said, that I want to be that beacon of hope in this space. He's super bullish on the Otherside and Yuga plans in the future. We obviously don't have full transparency of how much he knows, how much he doesn't know compared like to the public, but he's like a good example of how there are like these crazy passionate collectors. I was watching one of his interviews, and his first NFT was an orange Bored Ape, and the only reason he bought an orange Bored Ape is because orange is his favorite color. And somebody mentioned to him that you should buy this, and he was like, you know what, I like it. Orange reminds me of like New York. I'm a big New Yorker. And I do think if you look at like collectibles work in the comic book industry, in the Pokemon world, these are the people that you want, who are just like these passionate collectors. And I think it's kind of nice to see that come into our space, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent summary. Really nice, good, helpful to have that additional context. pretty dream investor, to be honest, if you're thinking about it, like to have someone with that much imagination and long-term thinking about wanting to give people the space and time to build out the thing that they really are attempting to do. So good to have that update. We're running out of time today, so we'll just get to the final headline, which is GTE. GTE was was one of the premier apps on MegaETH, and it was in the first cohort of the MegaMafia accelerator. That is the accelerator which the kind of MegaETH way to accelerate these companies is to get them all together, be a part of a cohort, get them working together, get them kind of bouncing ideas off each other. And as they try to build out towards mainnet, which I believe is coming in Q3, GTE seemed to have like a lot of success in attracting interest. They raised not long ago over $25 million from tier one investors like Paradigm and market makers like IMC, Wintermute, and Aurus. And they just announced overnight that they have grown up and are now departing the MegaMafia. They say that we appreciate MegaETH's help in getting us from 0 to 1. Now it's time to go from 1 to 100. MegaMafia tweeted themselves to say MegaETH is a permissionless blockchain. MegaMafia is an incubator to go from 0 to 1. And GTE is no longer part of the mafia. Maybe the thought or the narrative here being, if you've gone to 0 to 1 already, you no longer need to be part of the incubator because you have been incubated. You are ready to go live. And so they don't need to be a part of the incubator anymore. I haven't read anything here that suggests they're not going to be on MegaETH. I think that's maybe the direction that some people were wondering. Like, is this like a breakup of sorts? Like, did they get successful and then just like not need the people who brought them that or helped them with that success? I'm not reading it like that necessarily. I don't know because there's not any more concrete information. But I thought it was an interesting thing to see, because I guess MegaETH are going about it in this different way where they're taking a very hands-on approach with incubating these teams and then, then clearly allowing them to, or them being able to kind of step away from the environment that they've been in as they were building to go off and build maybe slightly more independently. So we'll keep an eye on that. We will give any thoughts on that further as we learn more. I don't think there's any more details out there to kind of digest. So Ledge, maybe a reflection from you there on that. I know, obviously we've both been not like very involved in the MegaETH ecosystem, but like super interested, super invested via different ways, whether it's via the fluffles or whether it's via, NFT exposure. But any reflection here from you?
Yeah, 2 points on that. I don't have any additional information because I've seen a bunch of people tagging me. The only additional info we do have is from Brett in a comment where someone tagged him and asked, does this mean GTE will not launch a MegaETH? Or does this mean they graduated from MegaMafia and still in the MegaETH eco? And the only thing Brett said to that was Mafia does not have graduates. So still pretty vague in the answer. Might be that there's still ongoing discussion of what's exactly going to happen.
Cool.
I don't have anything of substance to add to that, so I'll keep it at that.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's fair. Need more information probably to make any more substantial thing. But otherwise, that is the show for today. We hope you enjoyed it. As usual, just a reminder, friends, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are here with us routinely, just as a reminder, we've launched our Modern Market Telegram community. We are working through all the requests. Still, we do not want to get tagged as a bot or spam account. We are sending the links to all the people who requested. We've been inundated with requests. We are working through them. We're super grateful for everyone who wants to be a part of it. Hopefully that will continue to come out to you as the week progresses. We're looking forward to build that out with you all over the next multiple years, right? The whole point of this creation is to have a place where we're going to be able to navigate this complex industry together. So hope that's helpful. Thanks so much to Legendary and Rahim for co-hosting with me. Thanks so much for joining. We'll be back again with you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.